If you love talking about cats, but your friends and family are kind of over it, this is the podcast for you. Join your hosts, Danielle Stray Woolley and Elizabeth Calico Gearhart, on the Jersey PodCats, where everyday cat lovers share funny stories, challenging situations, and ask their questions about cats. All right, let's get right into this episode. Hi, everybody. I am Danielle Woolley with Thor here. Came to say hello.
And I'm Elizabeth Gearhart, otherwise known as Calico.
And we are the Jersey
PodCats. We'll get her down one of these days.
Yeah. So for those of you who are watching us on YouTube, I have a different background today. My office was dark and gloomy, so I decided to come downstairs, and Thor decided to see what we were up to. And it's actually kind of perfect because we left off last episode talking about how I was taking him to get groomed because he had a couple knots and didn't want to keep rushing at them. Also, too, his fur was getting like a little, like, it was weird. He had like some dry spots in his hair, but then also like a little greasy looking. But he cleans himself all the time. Like, I think my cats clean themselves more than they eat, and they eat a lot. But you guys had asked about like how did it go, and if you have, I have a recommendation. My goodness, I think I'm just too excited because Thor never jumps up on camera. Anyway, but he did well. He's actually a lot better after getting this little buzz cut that you can see here. So it turns out, and I felt like a terrible cat mom, he had a lot more gnats than I realized that he did. And so they had to give him a little buzz cut. They called it a bear cut. There was a little oops that happened when they were buzzing him. But he's completely fine. He's actually a lot happier. So before,
Yes.
we joked about him being a little like hissy, but it's because he didn't feel good. He had like a little knot by his hiney.
Yeah. So if you've never had a long-haired cat, which I had one, they get like these balls, like Rastafarian hair, kind of like these wads of hair that just stick together in this, and it gets hard, kind of this hard ball, and it's really annoying for them, and you have to go get it cut off because they can't take care of it. And I guess they were super annoying for Thor because
and he loved it there. He was meowing after, and I said he's acting like a little puppy now. He's jumping up on stuff, as you can see, because he's right up here next to me on the table. He's running around playing with the other cats now, and he's not hissing and swatting at them as much. So I'm really glad that I took him to that groomer, because they said, you know what, we really don't want to keep brushing and picking at those knots. It's probably better to buzz them. And I said, okay, I trust you, whatever you think. And then I know too, you had a groomer come to your house too, didn't you?
I did. So for those of you who have been following this, Max scratches his face, and we're on a new round of medications. I'll get into that later. But I thought, I would never declaw a cat. And I know that there are vets that do it. That's a sore subject for Danielle and myself, but we would never do it because it's like cutting your finger off at the first knuckle, quite honestly. But he's scratching. So they do have these nail tips that they're like, have you ever had gel nails put on, Danielle?
Yes. And it's funny. I was talking about that recently with a friend. I don't like them because I don't like that I can't just take them off super easily when I want to. Like when I'm done with something, I'm done.
Right.
And I don't like that I have to like go back and do it or buy like a special nail polish remover. So I actually went back to being mostly natural.
Yeah, I'm natural with mine, which are really sharp. But so I feel like these are kind of like gel nails for humans. So they're nail tips. So they glue them on. So I had a groomer come and glue, and I got them online, and I didn't really have a lot of choice of colors for the ones that would come in time. So he's got these glittery bright blue nail tips on just on his hind nails, because that's what he was using to scratch his face. He wasn't using his front nails. And they last about a month. And I do think they're helping some because he can still scratch. My husband's like, put the cone on him. I'm like, but then he just scratches himself after the cone comes off. It doesn't really help. And so I said, these tips, they let him scratch his face, but he can't rip it. It's not ripping it to shreds like it was before because it's a lot softer touch. And then I have this little really soft bristled brush that I brush his face and under his chin. He just loves it because he's itchy there all the time. So I do have him now. He's on antifungal, but I talked to my vet yesterday and I said, I gave him the anti-herpes medicine but I don't think I gave it effectively because I would think I got the pill down his throat and then I would find it under the console in the living room.
No.
So this is what I have resorted to, Danielle, and this is working, I think. I take the pill. So now I have to give him an anti-itch big pill and the anti-herpes pill, antiviral pill. So I mash him up with a mortar and pestle, and then I put him in a little shot glass, and then I add some butter and I mix it all up. And then
I never heard of that concoction until I think you mentioned it.
Yeah.
Right? On what recent episode?
And then I take rubber spatula to get it all out. And then and he's got those big old paws in the front because he's polydactyl. He's got like a paw and a half on each front paw. I spread it on his paws and then he licks it up because nobody wants to walk around with butter on their paws.
So that's
and
another
I think I'm getting
way
the medicine
to do it.
into him finally.
Yeah. When we get the blog going, we'll have to share, like, that's a really good idea, I guess. I don't know. I'm waiting for someone to tell us, don't give them butter, but you know what? If they need the medicine, whatever works to get the medicine down, right?
Well, I wasn't
create that list of ways to get the medicine in.
Yeah, I wasn't giving him butter before because we thought it could be food allergies and, right. But so I had to restrict what I was giving him. But then I think we're going to talk about this later. I had a cat communicator talk to him.
Well, we could talk about it now because really, I mean, that ties into, like, in case you haven't noticed, you just hear our voices right now. We're doing a solo episode because, we're a couple episodes in. We want to talk about what's been going on, not just with cat stuff and the people that we've been connecting with, but just in our own lives. And we actually have a guest that's coming up who is part of a group called Mission Meow, as well as Rescuing the Rescuers. And they had a really cool event that we supported this past weekend with a cat communicator. So go ahead from there.
Right. And so during the event, they were pulling names and letting people talk about communicating with their cats. It got a little heavy sometimes because some people wanted to talk to cats that had passed, and it was a little emotional, but I could tell that my cat, who looks just like Danielle's Thor, or looked just like Danielle's Thor that died quite a while ago, was trying to bust through because they were seeing things that were my cat when they were supposed to be seeing other things. And then towards the very end, one of them said, well, I see butterflies, and I see butterflies tickling your cat's stomach. And the person was like, what? And I'm like, oh my gosh, that's my cat. So because when I had to have him put down, he got really old, and he kind of went senile, actually. Like he couldn't hear anymore. And anyways, he was 18. So after I put him down, of course, we always feel guilty and sad, but I saw him in the backyard jumping around playing with butterflies, and he was saying, oh, I'm young again, it feels so good. And but I always associate him with butterflies. So I contacted her. I booked a session with her to talk to Max. I was blown away. I mean, when we were sitting there during the event, Danielle, I was like, yeah, I mean, they're kind of saying general things that you could say to anybody, right? In some cases. But when I talked to Julie Hurt, it was Julie Hurt one-on-one, like, she knew stuff that was coming straight from Max. I could tell.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. She's like, okay, I had him on just straight venison food. She's like, let's talk about the food first.
So Max was like, feed me something else, please.
He was real. She said he's not getting enough nutrition from the food because it wasn't kitten food either. And he's still a kitten. He's only 10 months old. And she said, it's not a food allergy and he wants better food. And it was.
And then what did you do? You went right out and bought more food, right?
Yeah, I went out and I bought, I had some like Friskies kitten food that he didn't really like. And I had all this other food that was single protein. So I went to Pet Supplies Plus, and they actually have Royal Canin kitten food there. They have like all this high-end kitten food. So I got a bunch of kitten food, brought it home, gave it to him. And he's like, what is going on? This is awesome.
Was he like, thank you, Julie?
Thanks, Julie. Yeah, he's like, I want to talk to her again. But what's so funny was I was having the claw caps put on at the same time he was talking to Julie. They just coincided. And the lady that was putting the claw caps on, she was like, yeah, he seemed really distracted. I wondered what was going on.
That's funny. And you know what? Kudos to you, because when you first said you were going to get those, or I think you said, what do you think of these nail things? And I just pictured me losing my arm if I tried to go anywhere near my cats with those things. And you got them on and they're helping him. I think maybe he sensed that they were going to help him So that's why he was more agreeable to it, you think?
I think so. And I also think that Sherry, well, he's a really sweet cat. And, you know, he does have that part ragdoll in him, which he just kind of flops sometimes. But, and he's been to so many vets, but I think that this woman, her name was Sherry, it's Sherry's Pampered Pets. I think Sherry has a lot of experience, and I could tell she was very compassionate. And I'd asked her, what can you do about his face? Can you wash his face? She said, well, I'm going to go really slow and be really careful. It might take a little longer and cost a little more if I try to clean up his face, because I don't want to just go in there and hurt him more. And so I think she just, I think he could feel her compassion coming through. And so he cooperated. She said it was kind of hard. One toe was kind of hard because he's got extra back toes too. He's got like a paw and a half on each hand. And then he's got an extra toe on each foot in the back.
He's special, that guy. So, you know what I love so far about, you know, all the experiences we've had with getting the episodes out there is we started it because, you know, we couldn't find information, we couldn't find answers, we couldn't find resources. And already just by connecting with other people and letting them share their stories about cats and letting them introduce us to other people, everything's kind of coming together. And there are lots of resources out there. So we don't have to have the answers to everything. And we could just keep having fun with this and listening to the community. So anything that you guys want to hear or talk about, or if you want to be a guest, just contact us, because we know a lot of people now, in addition to the people we knew already when we started, to help get you some more answers about cats. And we're not going to give up on Max either. We're going to figure it out. And we're going to figure it out. I just know we are.
We are not giving up on this cat. He is the most wonderful, sweet little cat. We went from the time we got him, we carried him around the house just so he would get used to us and being carried and stuff, because he'd been living in a barn. And I still carry him around the house, and he purrs, and we go look out the window together, and we walk around the house together, but he's 10 pounds.
Your arm starts to hurt. Yeah. Loki, he's not a lap cat. Like, you can't pick him up and put him on your lap. He'll just take off, but we can pick him up and carry him around. He loves it. He's like, where are we going? What are we looking at? But the second you try to sit down, he takes off. He's like, nope, no laps. Laps aren't for me.
Well, my Cushi, if you look at this on YouTube, or you have these pictures sometimes in our social media too. Mm-hmm. My Cushi is my gray and white tabby, and he's like a kind of a little Lord Fauntleroy in his picture behind me. But he has started, I think this was after I got Max. He would always sleep on my bed, but now he sleeps against my face up at the top. And Lily sleeps in the pillows too. And Max sometimes sleeps on the bed, but not always. But yeah, and Cushi will come on my lap. He doesn't like to be picked up and carried at all. And then that was a difference. So we got Cushi at 8 months, and we got Lily at 6 months, and they'd both been out in the wild and fending for themselves and everything, and very afraid of humans, but not too afraid. But
yeah, socialization is an interesting topic too. So I didn't even know what that meant until I started working with the rescue. And there's no like, hey, this is exactly what to do, because each cat's so different. Think of them like kids. I know I keep making that reference. But each kid has a different personality too. What works for one cat doesn't work for another.
Yeah. Yeah. So, I mean, they're great cats, and Lily likes to be petted, and she doesn't like to be held at all. And but she was funny because she would let you pet her tummy from day one. And Cushi was like, you're not coming near my tummy. So yeah, so they're fun. They have their own personalities.
Can I make a confession?
Yes, this is the confessional.
The confession.
I will be the priestess for you.
Okay. So since we started, and I mean, I love cats. I do. And I love all animals. Like, if I could have every animal in the whole world, I would have one. But since we started, people have been sending me cat gifts. And in the beginning, I'm like, oh, this is cute. But then I'm thinking, like, this is kind of annoying too, because I'm actually in the process of trying to purge my house out of stuff. And then so I feel bad, like, people are giving me gifts and then I don't want them to go to waste. And then I'm like, oh, I don't like cat stuff. Cat stuff is cheesy. But yet I think I really do like cat stuff, because I actually am using one of the mugs someone gave me and I'm wearing cat slippers right now. So it's like, I don't know. Do I think it's cheesy? Do I think it's not? But it had me thinking about, some people say like, oh, I love children. Children are great. And then they go to like a kid's birthday party and they're like, oh, okay, maybe I don't like kids as much as I thought I did. I just like my kids. And I'm kind of thinking, like, I do love cats. I'm going to be that person who always goes around and loves and wants to support and, make sure that they're being taken care of and saved. But I don't love all the cat drama that comes around it. Like, I don't think I can sit and talk to someone about cats for 5 hours straight. What do you think? Can you?
Not just cats. No, there's not. I mean, cats are cats. Like they're all a little bit different, but they're all kind of the same. Like you and I were talking about, like my Mercutio, Cushi, and even my checkers behind me and my Lily. They have a certain look, but I could go find you tomorrow, probably if I wanted to, 10 cats that look exactly like Lily. And it's weird. So there isn't like, you can
Just
only go
different
so far.
personalities, probably. Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, I mean, so part of the reason for having people on the podcast, other people, is to find out what they do. So
Mm-hmm.
it's kind of like, yeah, you love cats at your sideline, but what do you do? And
Mm-hmm.
we both find that talking to people very interesting, right?
Yeah. So I like how this is now gravitating more towards this is a podcast for cat lovers and everyday cat lovers and sharing their stories and asking questions. But we want to find out more about the person behind the cat lover. So we want to talk about what are your passions and what's something really cool you're doing? How are you working with nonprofits or helping support a cause in the world? So you guys are going to be seeing a lot more of that. And we're excited. That's all I'm going to say.
Yeah. Or yeah, just interesting different things you're doing in your life. Like,
Yeah.
yeah.
The other thing that we, and I actually don't think we aired this one yet, and I think we might have actually canned this one, but I'm going to talk about it anyway, is to help with all the cat stuff we've been doing and all the business stuff we've been doing and all the life stuff we've been doing. We've been looking into ways to simplify our lives a lot more. And I feel like that's a common theme as I'm talking to a lot of people, they're doing that. Like with meal prepping and, purging stuff in their house and simplifying routines. We found, I think, like a really cool food company. At least I've looked into it before, and I'll be the first to tell you I didn't go with it because I was like, what do you mean you need all my information before I could even see your like ordering options? Forget it. I'm not doing this. But luckily, Elizabeth did it already, or Calico, sorry. And so she's loving it and she won't shut up about how much she loves it. So I'm like, fine, I'll do it. And mine's coming on Monday. So maybe we'll be updating you guys on that too. And we could share those tips with you.
Right. What I like about it is, like, I know I need to eat healthy and I know I need to eat more vegetables, but I can never really think of what to make. And I have like a few things that I make, like chicken vegetable stir fry. Like, how many
I feel like
times?
that's in everybody's like back pocket.
I
I
know.
actually put a post up the other day that said, or it was maybe a couple weeks ago, it says like, hey friends, I am so sick of chicken. Please share your favorite chicken recipes. And then people started commenting, why do you hate children? I was like, what? They're like, oh, we read that wrong. We thought you said I hate children. I'm like, no, I said I hate chicken because I'm trying to eat high protein, eat healthy, all that stuff. And it's funny because I found myself not really taking care of myself again unintentionally because I've been focused so much on going to the gym and going for my walks and drinking lots of water and doing all my regimen stuff for all my health things. And then I wasn't eating enough again. But my cats, if you go in my pantry right now, my sister-in-law came over and was like, oh my goodness, I'm sending my cats to you for a month. I just had so much food because of the rescue too. Like when the pandemic first hit, it was really hard to get food and the prices were all
Yeah.
going up. So I
Yeah.
try to stack up where I care. So my cats have plenty of food, but then I wasn't eating. So that's why I'm also excited to try that next week too.
Right. And I put down, quite honestly, this is how I am. I put down, I wanted super simple recipes that didn't take long to make, that only had like 3 or 4 ingredients.
Yeah,
And
once you hit 5, you're like, I'm out.
yeah.
Too much thinking.
So literally, I mean, it takes like 5 minutes to make it because they have it all prepackaged and halfway cooked and all this other stuff. And I got enough so that Richard, my husband, can eat it too. And it's so last night, what did we have? We had lemongrass chicken with green beans, and I put it over rice. It was delicious. And they didn't send us the rice. They're like, this is supposed to be like a high protein, low carb kind of thing, because you
And you
can't
were
put
like, all right, now you're pushing it. I need me some rice.
you need some rice. Yeah. So I added the rice, but we're going to have chicken pesto pasta tonight. And I'm going to throw some spinach in there because they send you bags of spinach and bags of fresh vegetables to put in there. And so anyway, it's working for me so far. And it doesn't have the
Cool.
weird aftertaste that some, like we were getting these frozen ones. They had this weird aftertaste to me. It doesn't have that. So
yeah, the one I was previously using, and I went back to kind of prepping everything for myself, was like 2 out of 8 things we liked. And we are like, this is such a waste of money. We don't even like these. And I just didn't like the way that they ran the program and how the cutoffs were. And there was only a certain day they could deliver. It was, Anyway, so now this has turned into the Danielle Wants to Complain Today podcast. Let's switch back.
But with this new one, try the meatballs if you like meatballs. Oh my gosh, those were so good. I could just eat those straight without the sauce. They were really good. But anyway.
So now this is the cat and food podcast.
I love talking about food. My husband will tell you.
Yeah. So we're going to have a lot of fun, you guys. We wanted to give you guys an update. There's more stuff we want to talk about too. And we are booked out. We're not going to keep dropping hints about all the people that are going to be on, but we're booked out for like the next 2 months. So this is really cool. We really appreciate you guys. And we want to hear, do you want to be a guest? Do you want to come on? Is there a certain topic you're interested in? But mostly we want to talk to everyday cat lovers who are doing awesome things in the world, or they can share awesome tips about whatever it is that they're really into.
Yeah. And just have a form. So the whole point is the love of cats brings us together, but it's not the only thing in our lives. So let's talk about other stuff too. So anytime you want to talk about food, Danielle, I hope you got
coffee, travel.
Yeah. I hope you got the almond chickpea cookies, chocolate chip cookies, because those are really good.
I didn't. And I actually was laughing because as I was going through, I was like, oh, those are the things she talks about all the time. But I did not get those. I did not.
Speaking of travel, I don't know how much time we have, but Richard and I are going to Hawaii in a couple weeks. So
cool.
I'm excited about
that. So we'll have to figure out if that week I'll do a solo or we'll maybe take a break. We'll see. We have a bunch of episodes in our pocket at the moment.
Right. So yeah, our daughter's there. So I'm excited to go see her. So yay.
That's cool. Well, good for you. I've been to all of the states except for Alaska and Hawaii. I almost went to Hawaii a couple of times, but it didn't pan out. And then if all goes well, we're finally going to Alaska on a cruise this summer. We actually had it planned for the last few years and it kept getting canceled or rescheduled with everything going on in the world. So really, really, really looking forward to that.
Oh, that's nice. Yeah. Well, I was watching one of the shows this morning and somebody was in New Zealand and Richard said to me, would you ever want to go to New Zealand? I said, yeah, if I could teleport myself there. It's just so far to fly.
That's one of my travel regrets. I think it's time for more coffee. I was in Australia quite a few times on business. And the one thing I regretted was we talked about maybe going to New Zealand and there was just too much going on in the itinerary. But now for me to like make a plan to go to New Zealand, I just don't see it happening. I'd have to be going back to Australia again to fit it in, I think.
Well, I would have to have a private jet, which I don't.
Wait a minute. I would like to change my answer. I would like to go when I get to go on your private jet.
Yes, we can get a private jet once we win the lottery and we can all go together and that would be really fun. But New Zealand, it's beautiful from these pictures, but there are places in the US that are just almost the same. So I said to Richard, I said, well, I grew up in the Pacific Northwest. There's an incredible amount of natural beauty there. And New Jersey has an incredible amount of natural beauty too. So
yeah, so I really love where I live. If I haven't said that already, where I am in New Jersey, I have the Henry Hudson Trail in walking distance. So my husband walks it pretty much every day. I do when I can. And then we have a beach just a couple blocks away too. So we've got like everything. And then my husband loves snowboarding. So we can just an hour and a half or two, we can go snowboarding if we want to. And it's interesting because when I was traveling a ton, people be like, oh, you're from New Jersey? With all the travel you've done, where would you want to live? I'm like, New Jersey. It'd be nice if it was a little cheaper, but I still pick New Jersey. I just love it here.
Right. I mean, we have our house is on a half acre. We're north of Danielle and we have woods in the back and other people have trimmed their woods. I refuse to cut down any trees. I'm like, no, I love my trees. And we have a lot of wildlife. We have beautiful foxes that go through. We have raccoons. We have things that make weird noises the night that I don't know what they are.
Oh my gosh. That's a story for another day. Ask me to tell the Jersey Devil story. It's like, and I actually could probably find the recording. I swear we had the New Jersey Devil when I used to live down in Ocean County. We'll have to talk about that sometime.
Yeah. We should also talk about restraining orders, Danielle. You sent me that video.
So I don't know if any of you guys watched The Rookie, and then we should probably wrap it up because we've gone in like 13 directions at this point. But for anybody who watches The Rookie, one of the main characters I'm obsessed with, and I'm watching an episode. It's based on, if you know, a Rookie is, a cop show. And just the opening scene is just randomly some guy at the front desk, and he goes, I need to get a restraining order. And then the police officer says, okay, no problem. What's the name? It's my cat. And then I was just like, what? And I rewinded it like 5 times. I'm like, that's a great, like, stupid little whatever scene. But then like I texted it to you and you're like, I wonder what the cat did. How many cats want restraining orders against their humans? Like, they're making me take medicine again. I want a restraining order.
Yeah, and the cop is like, I'm sorry, sir. A restraining order, it has to be against a human.
Oh yeah. And then he goes, don't you want to know what my cat did? And she's like, no, I don't. And I'm like, I do. I want to know.
Maybe it'll be on the next episode.
Oh, well,
so as you can see, we are prepared to take this podcast anywhere it wants to go. The common thread is cats, but we could talk about anything else and weave cats in and out.
I love it. All right, guys. Thank you for joining us again for another episode. And you can check us out at thejerseypodcats.com, on YouTube, and anywhere you like to listen to podcasts.
Thanks so much for listening. Let's keep the conversation going. Give this podcast a rating so other cat lovers can find it. Connect with the Jersey PodCats on social media or visit thejerseypodcats.com and leave a message sharing a story or question about cats. Thanks again for joining us, and we'll catch you in the next episode.